Have you ever wondered what the most consumed natural resource on Earth is after water? It is not oil, coal, or even wood. It is actually ordinary sand. Sand is the literal foundation of our entire modern civilization, building our massive concrete highways. It builds our glass skyscrapers, and even the silicon chips inside the device you're holding. But here is the terrifying reality that almost nobody talks about. We are rapidly running out. The world is losing the specific type of rough, angular sand desperately required for construction. Desert sand is completely useless to us because the wind naturally makes those grains far too smooth to bind together. We specifically need the jagged sand found exclusively in delicate riverbeds, lakes, and ocean shorelines. Because this resource is incredibly finite and global demand requires over 50 billion tons annually, a highly organized and extremely violent black market has suddenly emerged. Welcome to the terrifying reality of the global underground sand mafia. The logistical nightmare of illegally extracting and transporting millions of tons of stolen dirt is staggering. These criminal syndicates operate with military precision, usually deploying massive fleets of unregulated dredging boats entirely under the strict cover of darkness. They drop heavy mechanical suction pipes directly into the murky water, violently ripping thousands of tons of sediment from the riverbed. In developing nations, the mafia employs legions of desperate laborers who dive deep without any safety gear, filling basic metal buckets completely by hand. This completely unregulated dredging destroys local aquatic ecosystems in a matter of hours. Without the structural support of the sand, riverbanks instantly collapse, causing catastrophic seasonal floods that entirely wipe out adjacent, vulnerable farming communities. Once the wet sand is pulled from the water, the true logistical nightmare actually begins. Sand is incredibly heavy, making it notoriously difficult to transport quietly across long distances. To perfectly solve this problem, the sand mafia relies on an intricate, massive, multi-million-dollar network of systemic corruption. They routinely pay off local police officers, way station operators, and border checkpoint guards to simply look the other way. Forged transit manifests and fake tax receipts are quickly printed to disguise the stolen cargo as legally sourced construction material. Armed spotters on motorcycles constantly patrol the main highways, warning the criminal syndicates about unexpected law enforcement or investigative journalists. Fleets of dangerously overloaded dump trucks thunder down rural dirt roads in the dead of night to totally avoid detection. These trucks are often carrying twice their legally permitted maximum weight, permanently destroying public infrastructure along the way. If a brave police officer or environmental activist dares to stand in their way, the consequences are swift and incredibly brutal. The sand mafia routinely uses extreme intimidation, and many brave investigative journalists have been intentionally run over by the very dump trucks they were trying to investigate. The stolen sand is eventually transported to massive, unregulated commercial stockyards on the outskirts of booming megacities. Here it is intentionally mixed together with legally mined supplies, completely erasing any trace of its illicit origins. By the time it is sold to massive real estate developers and poured into the foundation of a new hospital or high-rise, it is entirely untraceable. This shadow supply chain is so ruthlessly efficient that entire modern cities are quietly expanding on a literal foundation of smuggled sand and extreme violence. The long-term environmental consequences of this endless extraction are nothing short of globally catastrophic. Entire coastal islands in places like Indonesia have completely disappeared from the map as dredgers illegally consume their shores. Yet as developing nations rapidly expand and the global hunger for cheap concrete continues to surge, the shadow economy only grows. The profit margins now rival those of the international narcotics trade. Until we develop viable, sustainable alternatives to concrete, the underground sand mafia will keep digging, leaving behind a permanent trail of ruined rivers and shattered lives. So the next time you look at a gleaming modern city skyline, remember the dark, violent, and highly complex logistics that actually built it. This hidden criminal empire is literally shaping the world around us.